How do we raise a generation to save the world? Now, quick show of hands. Anybody here over the age of 50? Don't be shy. Fantastic. Anybody here under the age of 25? Over 50s, you lose. I'd like everybody over 50 to, in their minds, turn to everybody under 25 and say the following. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had it so good when I was your age. I didn't realize I was going to leave the world in such a bad state for you now. The reason why I say this is because I believe anybody under the age of 25 right now is part of a generation I'm calling the survivalist generation. They've unwittingly inherited problems from previous generations who had it much better when they were the same age. If you were born between 1950 and 1965, you probably enjoyed unparalleled social, financial, and cultural success. You probably weren't thinking about the future back then, were you? It's been left to my generation to clean it up. And I believe it's the survivalists who will save the world. Now, let's go down the list. Obesity, addictions, immigration, disappearing rainforests, melting ice caps, financial crisis, employment crisis, student debt. Need I go on? The world is in a pretty shabby state right now. Yet, I believe in the survivalists. I believe these survivalists could actually go on to save the world. Now, I'm personally invested. This gorgeous guy, that's my son, Milo. He's 6. Now, I think Milo's here today. If you were to speak to Milo, he says the following. I'm going to play for Barcelona, Manchester United, Real Madrid, FC Copenhagen, play with Lego, and watch cartoons. And guess what? I'm responsible for his outlook on life. That depressing view of the world I mentioned earlier on, I can't do that to him. He's only 6. So, I look to the things that have gone on in my life. And in my life, I've consistently observed, analyzed, and been curious to a very unhealthy degree about the lives of people. When in my working life, it's the same DNA, whether I work as a mentor, as a coach, or as a marketer. What I am is committed to understanding and navigating modern culture. What influences people, what excites them, what infuriates them, what angers them. And when I ask the over 50s to apologize, it's because today things are socially and economically radically different than they were when you were 20. So, back then, you probably told your kids, you can be whatever you want to be. Subsequent generations have suffered for that. Some people have even been ruined in the process. It's created the mess that society is today. For an economic crisis, we've seen a job sector where now to become a freelancer has not only become possible, it's become desirable. With prejudice, for instance, race is as powerful and as divisive as it has ever been. Yet, we have a black president of the United States, the highest political office possible. A crisis of fossil fuels has sparked the imagination. Now, electric cars, hydrogen cars, house batteries are possible. We've protested, even violently, about lives, the quality of life, and economic unfairness. Yet, we have passed laws that have promoted genuine equality, gay marriage. We've even seen an energy drink create a privately funded space program. Who would have thought that? There it is. As recently as the tragedies that happened in Paris and Beirut and Mali yesterday. We have seen social media be used to offer shelter, to confirm safety, and to show support. The depth of the human spirit today knows no bounds. 4 years ago, I interviewed John Gerzimer. Now, he's a TED Talk alumnus. He's a New York Times bestseller. He's also a specialist in consumer behavior and social sciences. What John says is today's generation is a slash generation. Actor, producer, director, has way more power than just actor. What that's done, it's confirmed the fact that a generation of people no longer want to be fulfilled or be labeled by just one thing, one role. It's proved that they could adapt, that they could overcome. And it's turned disadvantage into an advantage. For the slash generation, the personal gratification and a creative outlet run alongside their career. They shun the traditional model of it's just one thing for my entire adult life. I see heads nodding. Good. I'm on the right track. In another TED Talk by John, he mentioned that during the last financial crisis, people actually lost tangible assets, money, jobs, homes. So a new value system emerged, one that's perhaps a little less capitalist than before. Proof? I'm doing this speech today in the city that is consistently voted the happiest in the world. Think about that. Not the richest, not the most powerful, not the fastest growing, the happiest. You actually see it on big signs at the airport, which is good. What's happened is that in this slash generation, in these kind of troubled and tough times, have created their own foundation. Now, I believe it means we're in a much more aware world. And that means the survivalists can build upon that. I think the slash generation are trying to kickstart a solution. But I believe the survivalists are the ones who will be compelled to fix it. Can you imagine, with that kind of backdrop, what our kids, these survivalists, are going to do? We're raising them to be iterative, to constantly be living in beta. That means the next Gates, Musk, Zuckerberg, Jobs could be coming from anywhere at any time. That means there's more game changers out there, more sources of inspiration in your building, in your network, in your community. It could even be the person sat next to you right now. Let me give you two personal examples. The shoes I'm wearing today are from a friend who has turned his passion into his brand. Now, he's managed to source, manufacture, and execute the production of these shoes in the same place as major fashion designers. There they are, just in case you couldn't see my feet. Another group of friends had the idea to have a cyber piggy bank. And they risked a lot to get it made. But just last week, they managed to get enough via crowdfunding to take it to market. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think I'm that special. I'm not that connected. I think we all know someone who's starting something. Forbes says there's over 500,000 businesses started in the US every month. With that outlook, fueled by these examples, isn't it going to be interesting to see what this survivalist generation do? I believe, with varying degrees, this generation will go on to fulfill personal pursuits, to take risk, but within their own interpretation of what risk is. It could be starting a business. It could be taking an educational course. It could be trying a new computer game. The traditional model of family and a house and job, that's dead, gone. My son He's going to be constantly living around these types of people. These people pursuing passions much more than they were when at my age, when I was 6. He'll be overhearing and experiencing so much that by that time it won't even be strange to him anymore. Because when he gets older, he'll be using the tools that are new to us now. Shared economy, social media, emergent technologies. So I've got no clue what he's going to do, but I'm going to have a lot of fun finding out. I believe we're barely scratching the surface of what's possible. Are today's amazing feats even enough? Is an electric car going to save the Arctic Circle? Will an energy drink find life on other planets? Will a hashtag actually save somebody's life? Will any of that save the world? Now, I believe if we want to raise a generation to save the world, we need them just naive enough to believe it can be done, just foolish enough to want it done, and just brave enough to get it done. So, I'm going to leave with 3 pieces of advice. If you're over 50, add some slash to your lives. Adopt a creative outlet. You've earned it, okay? The world is digital now. Play, learn, play again. There's no such thing as mistakes. If you're under 25, my survivalists, if you think it's right, you maniacs, you're probably correct. But be prepared for people to ask you why and have your answer ready. And lastly, piece of advice for my son. Don't change. Because I think it could be your generation that's about to save the world.